Hi friends, it's Sarah from Ruffles and Rainboots.com, and today I'm going to share another couple of screen printing projects I did with the xTool S1 and the xTool screen printer setup. So I was gifted this product and I'm telling you, it's pretty easy and fun. So you get a lot of stuff in the multicolor kit, but I wanted to see if I could put multiple designs on the same screen and have like 4 or 5 projects. I'm going to be using the black ink, and I'm going to be using the palette knife and the squeegee that's no longer clean. So instead of a tote bag for this one, I'm going to be using a wine bag. It has a pretty thick seam, so I'm going to be kind of playing around with how to place it inside of this and where I need to put the design. Speaking of design, I'm going to go into XCS and I'm just going to set engrave and choose a really thick font like Varsity. I'm going to do the Philly love kind of thing where we do LVE and we have a design. Mine is obviously going to be the great state of Texas because that's where we're living now. And I want to sell some stuff to some fellow Texans. All right, so I'm going to position these first. I'm going to align left the L and the V, and then bottom align the V and the E just by selecting them and choosing the align menu. Now I'm going to draw, or I already drew it. I'm going to bring in a Texas that I drew with a heart cutout. I made it the same size as my letters and then just aligned it right with the E. Next up, I'm going to engrave that as well and then change the alignment of the ones up here to the top just to make sure everything is good. I don't like the spacing, so I'm going to bring these two down a little bit, and that is nearly our design. If you want, I wanted to see how a cutout would work, so I'm going to use this heart and I'm just going to position it inside so I cut out a piece of the Texas. So I'm going to set it to engrave, position it, size it, and then select both the heart and the Texas, and then up to the combine and subtract. Look at that. We're all done. We can actually put this on the same layer because it's all going to engrave at the same time. So we're just going to click it, say move to, and add it to dark blue. That is all one piece. We're going to select everything. You can group it together or unite. Now, as far as sizing, when you're working with wine bags, always put it in and measure from there just to get an idea. One of my sides for my very first wine bag was a little too far down. I'll show you that in just a second. But I'm going to size mine for about 3 1/4 on the height, or on the width. That's the only one that mattered to me on this design. And then I'm going to group it. And again, you can combine unite as well. I'm going to choose screen print and then coated screen mesh. When you do that, it actually enters all of the settings for you. Now, just FYI, you have to reflect it vertically and then turn it 90 degrees if you don't want to have to worry about placing your items sideways. You can place your items sideways. I've actually done that as well. So everything else is like normal. You hit distance, you hit auto measure for that distance, you create your little start marking thing here. You can see me moving the actual laser head to get my starting point, and then we'll move the laser head and hit start to get the ending point, and then we just drag our piece inside that area. I'll frame it like normal. I do go in and turn off the engraving automatic air assist, or I have also done it with the 1 on. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. We hit start in the process software first, and then we hit start on the machine. You can see this is obviously sped up, but it took me about 8.5 minutes to do this 3 1/4 sized piece. What I want to make note of is it's kind of messy. Whether or not you have engraving air on or not, you're going to want to clean your machine. It is not too bad, but I don't like anything being in the way of my laser head. So here I'm just inspecting. You can kind of see it a little better here. There's different colors on my engraving, which was interesting. So I put it into the holder. I undo this knob, and then I press it down onto my actual blank. The reason is we want it to sit flat. So I'm going to show you, I have a wine bag in here. I'm going to go take this to the press because I have a big wrinkle, and then I'm going to bring it back and align it. I used a little bit of washi tape to align mine incorrectly the first time, but you can see it through. Just in case you can't see something through, add something bright. I taped down my pieces, removed the washi tape, and now I'm just going to put a little of that tape right over this because I was worried that I would pull right through. So I'm just going to turn this so we can see it a little easier and I can just get it positioned. And then I'm going to be honest, I am not a professional screen printer. The laser did all the work so far. And so this is me figuring out how much ink. Now watch. That's a fail. I didn't even go all the way to the end of the L. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but the L is not fully covered. And so I'm going to do it again. And again, I did a little bit shy. So watch. By the way, you don't want to keep going over it. Other projects I've done where I keep going over it, it got a little fuzzier and fuzzier and fuzzier. So if you can do it in one pull, it works much better. So here it is out of the machine. I'm pretty happy, except it's way too far down. So I'm going to do another side. And so I'm just going to take this whole thing to the sink, use a brush and water and clean it. I dry it with a little towel before I put it back down. You can see like the wet part versus the dry part. But then I did the other side correctly positioned and it worked out so easy. Now I have an easy gift idea and a sellable set that I can position together. And again, I can use this as many times as I want. Now, this is the project I learned the most on. It is not perfect, but it did help me learn how to do things a little better. You can see I have that different color engraving as well on this one. So I'm thinking it's just kind of like the way it is. I also adjusted the engraving on some of these on the speed to slow it down a little because I did have some skipping on this really big design. This took an hour to cut just the UFO, like the beam portion, and then another 20 minutes or so to cut the actual UFO flying saucer and the words. So here I'm mixing blue and yellow with a little bit of glow in the dark because why not? I've never done this. I might as well. And I just use popsicle sticks. Doesn't matter. You'll get messy anyway. Good news is that you can wash this. Immediately wash it. So for the tote bag, underneath I have a piece of paper and I have this pressing pillow because my design is upside down and I needed to make sure I didn't get the seams of the tote bag. So here you can see I'm just going to apply this with the paint stick that I'm using, which is also a popsicle stick from the Dollar Tree, just in case you want to know where I get my supplies. Such a professional. Don't sleep on the Dollar Tree. Somebody told me that a long time ago. All right, so now I'm just going to put way more material ink than I think I need, but I ended up messing this one up too. I'm going to tell you, it takes some practice to get screen printing correct. And at this point, I still hadn't watched any videos from anybody because it was before they launched. Ready? I missed the whole bottom. Don't know what I did. Look at the entire bottom of that is blank. So what do? If you're me, you just take that paint right off of there and just try and go at it again. I mean, I don't know what else to do. So that's what I'm going to do. And it worked. It worked. It worked for the most part. It did work. Watch. Look, I got all the way to the bottom, tapped off some ink and did it again. All right, you can see up the very corner up there, I want to do it a little bit more. Again, I don't recommend doing this with some really intricate designs because the more you do it, the more fuzzy the design gets on the actual blank. But this worked out in my favor. Look how perfect the check mark is. I would just like to say that's my win. All right, so I'm just going to take this over to the sink now and along with my little scraper tool, pop in this one. Now, here's the lesson I learned from this. After I washed this screen, it came out perfectly. Before I wash the screen, you'll see what happens. So I'm just using a heat gun just to dry this a little bit because it was still quite tacky. And I think that if you do that, then green would be all over the bottom of your thing. And I had a guy that I needed to be in black ink. So you will see I put enough ink on this thing. I run it multiple times and that top portion is a fail. And the reason is I didn't wash this screen before I used it. And I'm telling you, I think that is my winning tip out of this entire process. I lined it up perfectly though, which, I mean, I didn't really do that. The laser did, but still you can see the very top up there. But look how perfectly that check mark is aligned in there. I just thought it was so cool. So second pull on that, that's about as good as it's going to get, to be honest. I'm not thinking that I'm going to be able to do it better. So I take everything, rinse it off in the sink using a brush, dry it up a little bit, just so I don't like accidentally get the you know, tote bag pieces in there, the handles. I take it outside for 10 minutes and look at this. This isn't a fully enclosed room, no windows. This is with the door open. I like their glow in the dark paint, y'all. It is really fun. So I hope you like this. I will put the links to the xTool screen printer below. I have had a great time with this. The kids have had a great time with this. And I hope you enjoyed watching this. Subscribe for more.